Hi everyone, it's Heidi from flutterbyheidi.co.uk. I'm Heidi Smith, I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator based in the United Kingdom. And today I thought I'd share something using the fabulous Floating and Fluttering, so appropriate for me I think, stamp set and coordinating dies. So this is a photopolymer stamp set, as you can see here, that has this lovely butterfly image, and you've also got these solid images to colour those in, so it can be really quick and easy to colour using those. Got a super frame as well, and with this you've got a single you've got two things. You've got a single die to cut out the whole image, and you've got two of those, or you've got individual dies to cut out all of the parts as well. So it really versatile and works really well whatever you want to do. But I thought today what I'd do is actually, rather than using the infill and accent images, I'd do a bit of Stampin' Blends colouring. And I'm going to use, because this hasn't got any sentiments, I'm using one of my go-to sets, the Itty Bitty Birthdays. Lots of birthday sentiments, some fun ones as well, including a happy belated birthday, happy day, all sorts of things. But really useful, great one to have in your stash. And the perfect thing is it coordinates with the a lot of those fit into the classic label punch. And I'm going to make a double diamond card. I wanted to kind of have that effect of the butterflies literally floating and fluttering above the card, so I thought this was a perfect one. And the great thing of this card is it stands up on its own, really useful. And you can do two things. You can either use these panels on the back to write your sentiment, or you could open it up and write on the inside if you wanted something a little bit more personal. The paper I'm using is one that you can get for free. So if you were to buy the Floating and Fluttering bundle of stamps and dies and say chuck in a Tombow or some dimensionals, you could choose a level 1 item for free. And the one I'm using is this lovely Paper Blooms paper. You get 12 sheets of 12 by 12 paper, 2 each of 6 designs, and on the one side you've got these lovely big bold images, and on the reverse you've got a sort of a smaller, more muted pattern. And you can see we've got some of the current in colours, so Seaside Spray and Rococo Rose, along with Night of Navy, and you've got sort of 2 sheets each on the reverse in each of the colourways. So you've kind of got the Rococo Rose there, and then you've got some Old Olive here as well. So lots of colours you can pick up on in here. So a bit of soft sea foam as well, petal pink, Old Olive, you know, really lovely, great colours. And you could actually stamp or punch on these circle images to give yourself a sort of washed effect if you wanted. So let's crack on with the card making. Obviously the links to these are in the description bar below the video, if you click on the little down arrow, or pop along to my blog and you'll find the links to all of the products there. So you're going to need a piece of cardstock. I'm going to work in inches today. I will work it out in centimetres actually, it's not going to be difficult. So you want a piece of card that is 10 inches by 4 inches, and you're going to score right down the middle at 2 inches, like so. Then what we're going to do is, I'm going to just show you on this one, you're actually going to only do a couple of score lines, but you're going to mark in a couple of places as well. I'm going to use my erasable marker. So you're going to first of all score, and then you're going to do some diagonals, sorry I should have said, at 2 inches from each end, like so. And then the marks you want to make, if I show you here, you're going to mark those at 4 inches and 6 inches on both sides, and at 3 and 7 on the middle. So if you line up at 4 inches, leave your tray open, just mark. I say you can do it from either end, like so. And then at 3 inches, I tend to probably use a ruler actually on that one. It's less easy to do, so I'm just going to pop that out of the way and just show you. So I'm going to mark, I was hoping that this might show up, but it doesn't as well, at 3 inches and at 7 inches on those on the centre. Then you need to grab your embossing tool You take your pick with the embossing end and just score from those outer ones to the inner ones to create that fold. Now the trickiest bit of this one is the folding. So once you've done that, first of all, get rid of those little marks, and then we can start at folding and reinforcing with your bone folder. So fold and reinforce those, and down the middle there. Right, and once you've done that, you want to gently do these ones as well, these diagonals. There we go. So I find really those ideally do with your fingers, because you won't kind of get your bone folder in without, well, not easily anyway. Okay, so what you then want to do is you want these ones to go up, and what you do is you fold, and you can just see it starting to fold there. So these ones up, these ones down, and you just gently create your fold like so, and then give it a good old reinforce with that bone folder. And there's our basic card. Now on to our decoration. So what you want to do is grab yourselves a couple of pieces of Whisper White cardstock. Now I've kind of pre-cut these. I just find it easier. So they're about sort of 3 1/4 by 2 3/4 inches. And I'm going to use my Stampin' Pierce mat, because what we've got there is a photopolymer stamp, and to get the best image you want to pop one of those on. They're not expensive, but well worth investing in if you've got any photopolymer stamps. There we go. You get a lovely crisp image using my Memento ink. Now, I would say do 2 of those, and then what you want to do is grab your dies and cut those out. So what I did was I cut one out with my solid image, and then with my second one I cut out the individual images. So you can't do them all in one go, but in a couple of passes. So for example, I would cut out the 2 butterflies first off, and then I think I then did this leaf and this one, and then the butterfly. So say 2 or 3 passes, and if you've got the new mini cut and emboss, you'll find this so easy. So just pop that through. I've just used a bit of post-it note tape to hold that in place, she says, having moved it now. Make your sandwich. And we're not talking bread. It does give you all the details on what sandwich to use on the base plate, which is a really useful thing to have. And then you've got your image. And so what I'm then going to do is colour that in. I tend to cut first, because I have in the past been known to do all lovely colouring and then mess up the cutting. So I tend to cut first, then colour. And I'm just using some Rococo Rose, Seaside Spray and Just Jade. So 3 sets of blends. And okay, so to do my colouring, I am just coming in with my dark. I'm then coming in with my light Seaside Spray to colour up to there. And while I've got that out, I'm going to colour my butterfly over here with that as well. I'm then going to use my light Rococo Rose to actually blend those 2 colours. Just give a bit of shape in there, and I'm going to use my dark Seaside Spray just on the outside there, and on the outside of this one. Now I'm just colouring these in quite lightly and quickly. Obviously spend a little bit more time if you'd like to. Just remember, what you want to do is go over with a lighter one to blend those colours, or use your colour lifter as well to blend. But obviously you're starting to get sort of a purpley shade where that's mixing with the Rococo Rose. And I use Rococo Rose for this butterfly down here. Smaller images, obviously you can use the bullet tip. Larger. Now when you use the Rococo Rose on its own, it does look quite bright, almost look fluorescent. It was quite, I was like, oh, that's not the right colour. But it dries a much more subtle colour. So with that, so you can either go over and colour in sections, or just add little accent bits to it. And as I say, and then just come over, probably with just a circular motion. That will help blend with that alcohol in there, help blend those colours and soften those lines. And then just with the Just Jade, I'm just going to use the light on these leaves. Again, as much or as little as you want on these. And you can go over, once it's dry, you go over a second time to get more colour, or obviously use your darker one. I just use the darker one on its own because the leaves are so small you're not going to get much colour. So this probably takes a little bit longer than on if you were to use the infill ones, but it's rather nice, you know, sometimes to sort of sit and do a little mindful colouring. There we go. So once you've done that, then we can start creating our card. So for the layers then, what I've actually got, I'll pop that down. So the layer for the middle, so this is 2 3/4 by 2 3/4 with a layer of Designer Series paper that's 2 5/8 by 2 5/8. Take the lid off my seal. And that is just a straightforward pop on and layer. Which I haven't done very straight at all. Now what you want to do is pop that onto the inner panel of here, and this is where I think it's useful to use some Tombow. So I'm just going to put it on that, say, bottom third of my triangle, and I find it easiest to kind of pop it in, and it's going to sit just above the very bottom, but you want it to sit nicely in the middle. So there we go, there's our panel, and then we're going to do this, add our panels to the front. So I've used a little bit of Seaside spray and some more of the DSP, and so these are 1 7/8 by 1 7/8 for the card layer, and I've added some DSP, which is 1 3/4 by 1 3/4 onto the top there, just picking up some of the colour like so. And then these just simply layer onto the front of our card. And this is one where I actually find it easier to add the layers on when it's kind of folded rather than when it's flat, just in case there's any sort of slight differentiation. So there's our basic card. Now the next thing to do obviously is to add our butterflies on. Now what you might want to do is measure to make sure it fits into your envelope. So you might want to sort of set that down a little bit. Basically, as it is, this will fit into a standard envelope, but if you have it poking up a little bit more, then you'll want to pop it into a square envelope. Okay, so I'm going to actually have that on there, and then I'll just show you some shaping. That's very runny Tombow. Like so. With that, our other butterflies. So you can see I've got some butterflies which I've already stamped and die cut. And this is where I wanted to add some more of my shaping. So all I'm going to do is grab my bone folder and just gently shape the wings on those butterflies. And on my side butterfly, And what I've done is taken a second butterfly, and I'm just going to bend those wings up and then add that onto the top of my top butterfly. So just a little glue there, and then add that on. The beauty of that is that you've got the antennae showing with the main one, and you've still got that lovely lift on those butterfly wings. Again, you could pop those either on a dimensional, with the knee going, so a little piece of dimensional or a bit more Tombow to add those to the front. Depends how much sort of, kind of, if I say lift, you want to get on your butterfly. Pop that one there, and the same again on this one here. So I'm just adding my dimensional to that front edge of the butterfly, and then I'm going to take my here's one I haven't actually die cut, but I can just cut that apart and pop that up again on another little piece. And by shaping, you just find that it just gives a little bit more that dimension just finishes it off beautifully. And then again with our leaves, you can really have some fun by adding as many or as few as you want to those. A good old edge of the dimensional strip. You know me, frugal crafter. Get the most out of my dimensionals. And I'm just going to pop that there, and probably another one just up a little way behind. So from, as I say, from one card to another, there's our double diamond fold. This one in soft sea foam and seaside spray. As you can see, both look absolutely beautiful, and say depending on how many you want, I've added an extra butterfly onto the front here, so you've got sort of double wings, a second butterfly onto this one rather than the leaves. But really, you know, you can play around, have lots of fun with these, and with those dies and being able to cut those out, it's lovely. And the one die I haven't used my frame die, and I haven't used my embossing die, which is the other one that actually embosses that main image. So you know, you can have another play around, and there's some other stamps in there as well to add accents. To create your sentiment, all I did was just stamp very quickly. One thing I hadn't done, do my stamping. Ooh. And that's just a simple stamp and punch with the let's pop some. I used Rococo Rose. And punch a couple of these out to add our layer. And this one. So if you see, that literally just fits in there. So all that remains is add a little glue to the back there. And you can either cut that in half or just as easily layer it up on two of these, because they're quite fiddly to cut on the length. And to make those look a bit neater, all I do is I just snip with my snips along the edge of that Whisper White to get my double layer. So again, a couple of bits of dimensional on the back. And then that will just sit on the inside of your card. And because there's Rococo Rose in it anyway, you